Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about my thoughts on The Rock saying Indiana Jones inspired him as a kid because there was no representation of him growing up, despite him saying just a few years ago modern day woke culture bugs him. Oh, Rock. So, once again, The Rock has a new movie out. And once again, it's starting to look like a huge flop and everything. And once again, The Rock is running off the mouth and making a spectacle of himself trying to promote this movie by any means possible because he's looking for that of another win. But it looks like this is about to be, yet again, another loss for the great one, the most electrifying man in all the sports and entertainment. So, what did The Rock say and why does it bother me just a little? Well, what he said doesn't actually bother me at all. See, he's promoting the movie Moana, which is a remake of the animated movie that came out exactly 10 years ago, a movie he was a part of. And what he said while promoting this movie, while dressed as a Samoan, I guess like warrior probably or something like that, he really went all out, like dressed like this. This is the most Samoan I've ever seen this dude dress. His cousins, when they started off in wrestling, they dressed more Samoan than he did. But he said that, growing up as like a 9-year-old kid and everything. Oh, by the way, this is a picture of him as 15 years old or whatever. But he said growing up, there was like a lack of representation of like somebody like him growing up. And he had Indiana Jones, and that inspired him to be the person that he wanted to be. And that's cool and everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, race should not matter when it comes to inspiration and wanting to be the person you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter your race, your gender, your sexuality, or heck, even your species. There was a cartoon in the 90s, Disney, called Gargoyles and everything. And if you own the DVDs like I do, and you watch the special features, then there's like a Comic-Con convention, and a lot of the people said that, despite the gargoyles and everything being animals and stuff, they related to them because they felt different just like the gargoyles did when they was growing up. And, that helped them cope with life and everything. So it doesn't matter who you get inspiration from and stuff like that. And he's right. When he grew up, he's about 10, 15 years older than me. So like growing up, he grew up in like what, the 70s and stuff like that, and a little bit of the 80s and everything. There wasn't like that much representation of half of him and everything. See, The Rock is half black and half Samoan, despite him embracing his Samoan side a heck of a lot more than that of his black side. And, when it comes to The Rock and his half black, half Samoan side, I say this only because the man has played multiple white people on screen. He's played occasionally black people on screen. And he's also occasionally played like Samoan people on screen, like when he did Hobbs and Shaw in the Fast and Furious movies, because the actress playing his daughter looked more Polynesian than she ever did black. And when they showed his family in Hobbs and Shaw, ironically, it was only his Polynesian Samoan side, not a single black person there, which is kind of interesting and kind of odd, seeing how he is that of a mixed man and everything. And The Rock does not denounce his black side by no means, but it is kind of odd that the man has yet to star in a predominantly black series, or like a predominantly like, Samoan series, or like a mixture of like the two. And not one black comedy, not one black drama, not one black movie, nothing like that. And, I just find that kind of odd and a little peculiar and stuff. Now, yes, he did have that comedy show, The Ballers, which most people never heard of. And yes, the cast was split in half. You had three whites and three and a half black people. The half, of course, is him. And so he does like cast black people in his stuff, and he does have like black celebrity friends, but sometimes it seems like his black celebrity friends are only there whenever he needs them for whatever reason. And he only interacts with black people when it suits him for whatever project he's pushing forward. But for the most part, all of his movies have always been like multicultural, but predominantly white and everything. But like back to him and representation, yeah, you weren't gonna find a Samoan person in an American television show like in the 80s, 70s, 90s, heck, even the 2000s, unless you was watching Xena or Hercules. And yes, they had Polynesian people there and Samoan people there, but nobody knew what their race was because the show was predicted back in ancient Greece. In fact, his co-star on Moana, the live action one, the actress, her father Jay was actually in Xena Warrior Princess and stuff. But of course, he just played the character and not that of his actual race because it was set back in ancient Greece and stuff. And in terms, well, when it comes to that of like black people representation, there was like comedy series with black folks in them where he grew up in. And there were the occasional one lonely black person in like 70s and but mostly 80s movies and stuff. So there was a lack of representation. Now, if he wanted to go on the comedy side in a sitcom, then yeah, he would have saw tons of black people because there was a couple in like the 80s and the 70s and a little bit of the 60s, just a little bit. Just a little bit and everything. But in terms of action and drama, you will slim pickings to see like a black person there, but it will always be that one lonely black person. This is why representation matters and everything. And I've been saying that for the longest time. And so, since The Rock could not see himself on screen, but yet he didn't look hard enough to see the other half of himself because he would have saw a couple of black folks and stuff like that, but not in the roles that he wanted. Black people were relegated to that of the best black friend or like a villain and stuff. But I guess he didn't watch no predominantly black action movies or martial arts movies or horror movies. So he just did not see himself. And so he saw this hero in that of Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones and stuff. And like I said before, that is totally cool and that is totally fine. However, when it comes to that representation, let us not forget what this man said. Let's go back a few years ago, back when he was promoting that of Black Adam. Remember when he tried to take over Warner Brothers and the DC division of Warner Brothers and everything? And he tried to shape the DCEU and that of his image and that of Black Adam's image and everything? And remember how he was pissing people off left and right by the stuff he was saying? So he was trying to do damage control the best way he possibly could. And he was trying to play the whole devil's advocate on both sides of the political aisle and everything. And so if you don't know this, The Rock is actually a Democrat and everything when it suits him. And when it doesn't suit him and he has to go the other way, then he starts sucking up to that of the other side. When Donald Trump became that of president, The Rock was not happy the first time and said he was going to run in 2024. No, not 2024. 2020 and everything. For the, I think, what was it? 2021 election or whatever, something like that. the one that Biden won and everything, he was gonna run for that. But some of his fans booed him. Why? Because a lot of wrestling fans are conservative and everything. And a lot of The Rock fans are. And a lot of The Rock's friends who work in the WWE. Well, The Rock heard those boos and he kind of shifted and said, nah, I'm not gonna run. Then he endorsed Biden for the 2020 election and everything. And what happened? He got booed again. Then when Hawaii burnt down and everything, him and Oprah went on did like a ad asking the American people for money to help rebuild Hawaii. But then people's all like, hold up, you two are million with an M, millionaires and everything. Y'all combined money can fix all of Hawaii. Why are you asking us poor people and everything? So, because of him saying he was going to run in 2020 against Trump and everything, because he didn't like the way he was doing stuff, then endorsing Biden, then the whole Hawaii thing, people turned on The Rock. And so that has now caused him to shut up about politics, which has pissed people off in Hollywood, like that of Will Wheaton and George Takei from Star Trek, saying, hey man, you're a coward because, bad stuff is happening in our country and you're just keeping your mouth shut and everything. And you're one of the most powerful celebrities there is. And so this little image right here, what does this have to do with Black Adam and all this other stuff? Well, remember when I said The Rock was kissing everybody's butt left and right and everything, and how he pissed people off on the left and then he pissed people off on the right? He tried to suck up the people on the right by going on Fox News and Fox and Friends. And if you know anything about that news channel, it's one of the fakest news there is that's always pumping out false information because they have an agenda. And so The Rock went on there to pretty much piss off everybody on the left, trying to gain sympathy for people on the right. He started talking about how he hated cancel culture and this type of culture and that kind of culture. And he doesn't like that of woke culture. It bugs him and everything. And I remember I made a video about that a few years ago when he talked about that. I thought to myself, what a hypocrite. Because this man benefits from that of woke culture and everything because of the simple fact he is a biracial man, and he has played a white man, an Italian man, and a gay man. Let's not forget that. On that gay role he played in Be Cool, which many people, like myself, say, wow, his acting was not perfect and everything. It was his best acting role because he actually tried to act like somebody else and not like himself, which is something he's been doing for the past decade and a half. And so he has played diverse characters in the past and everything, and he has played race-bent characters in the past and everything. And so he has benefited from that of woke culture. And now look what he's doing now. He has now partnered with Disney, and he is now in Moana, this huge Hawaiian, Polynesian, Samoan type movie. And let's not forget, he also played a race-bent character when he was in Black Adam. And he also had people from the Middle East portrayed in a good light, which was cool. And that was the inclusion of the DEI, that thing that bugs him so much. And did he do it for the cultural representation? Nah, he did it because he wanted fame and money. But oh no, that flopped and it caused a lot of backlash. Black Adam hit that dude hard because he embarrassed the crap out of himself with all the promotion and stuff like that. So he pivoted to the next competition. Can't be in the MCU, so he decided to go to Disney. And there he signed a multi contract, millions and millions of dollars. He could make tons of projects and star in them. And so he thought to himself, hey, with all these Disney remakes, I can make Moana and everything. That was just about 10 years ago, and I voiced that character. I can play that character and everything. But he's making this huge, diverse movie that is part of woke culture, woke Hollywood, and everything. But remember, that bugs him. And this is why I'm making this video. This man is a hypocrite. This man is selfish. This man is two-faced and everything. This man only thinks about himself and himself only. And whenever he needs to suck up to somebody, he's always pivoting to one side to the other. You never know what truly to believe when it comes to this man, because he's gonna do whatever in the best interest of his bank account and everything. He did not make. Well, I remember when he said he was making this movie. Oh, because Hawaii was such one of the best experience he had when he was living there as a teenager, and the Hawaiian culture and people and this and that. And yeah, I do believe that to some extent. But he also forget to mention that he was a bad boy growing up when he was in Hawaii and getting arrested for doing some bad stuff. And so with that being said, he didn't make this because, it was this big cultural phenomenon and he wanted people to experience that of Hawaii, Samoans, and Polynesians. No, Lilo and Stitch was being made and coming out, and he wanted to compete with that. He saw that movie made a whole lot of money, and hey, he could do the same thing. Why? Because he was coming off the massive bomb of Black Adam, and he needed another win. So he's trying to suck up now, pivoting to that of another company and stuff. And this is the reason why Moana got made in a live action. You never heard Disney talking about, hey, let's make a live action Moana movie, because it was only been about 10 years since the animated movie come out. The Smashing Machine bombed and everything. And so he just needed another win, because that Amazon Christmas movie he did bombed big time and everything. And so he was just looking for that of a cash grab and something to get back favorable in the eyes of the public, because he's been pissing people off left, middle, and right of the aisle and everything. But once again, this is starting to be yet again another flop for The Rock and everything. But hey, don't you worry, he's gonna push that DEI cultural representation thing that he lacked growing up and everything. And just to kind of try to suck in some more people on the left and everything, and dressing up the way that he is and everything. But what he said on Fox and Friends has stuck in the minds with people. He can't just go around saying, hey, I didn't have no representation growing up, and all I had was a bunch of white people and blah, 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 blah. And hey, look, I'm making this cultural movie and everything. And it's like, dude, a few years ago, during the height of woke culture and everything, there was your representation. Television shows, movies, commercials, and so many other things. They really started to embrace people of color. Some of those projects were good and other ones were not and everything, for whatever reason. But the reason for woke Hollywood and everything was because back in the day there wasn't that much representation. You rarely saw a black action star. You rarely saw a Latino action star, or like a drama or something like that. They were relegated to the best friend role or that of a villain. Antonio Banderas, who is from Spain and everything, he literally said when he came to America that they told him, most likely you'll be playing Mexicans and you will be playing the villain. And I have no idea, because I don't watch none of his movies except for Zorro and everything. And but they flat out told that dude, hey, this is what you will be playing and stuff. Look at Summer Hayek and everything. I completely forgot she was in Fools Rush In, which was like the first trailer I ever saw her in. And then, she was in the Wild Wild West movie and a couple of other stuff. But she's mostly things I've seen always playing like romantic leads, or she playing cultural type movies and stuff. But, she was in Eternals and she did play a superhero, and that movie bombed, of course. But like, how often have you ever seen her play the lead in her own movie where she's an action star or a cop or like a doctor or something like that? And having black people in predominantly white shows where they play cops, teachers, doctors, nurses, judges, that's not good enough because they're very teeny tiny roles and stuff like that. So yes, he is right. Growing up, he did not see much representation. There was some here and there, like in comedy roles, but they had to be predominantly black television shows and stuff, or they had to be a predominantly black movie or something like that. And of course, he wasn't gonna see a Samoan nothing on screen, and so like for him to disparage woke culture in Hollywood because it bugs him, because cancel culture bugs him, and everything else bugs him about culture this and culture that and appropriation and celebrity talking politics and stuff. He's only saying that because he pissed off all his white fans and everything, and he's trying to kiss their butt. But woke Hollywood was that representation he did not have growing up, and he pissed in the face of it. So this man makes me sick, and I've said this before. I will never ever be a fan of this man again. He's all about himself. He is fake. He is a horrible actor. He is homophobic. I want to see him in a Black Project. And I want his cousin to stop saying the N-word and stuff like that, because too many of them do, because too many of his cousins in wrestling have all married black women or dated black women, and for whatever reason, they feel like they get to say the N-word and stuff. And when I mention his cousins using the N-word, I'm primarily talking about the really big one who raps and everything. I forget his name. But I bet you anything the Usos probably use it too, because they look way too ghetto and stuff. But hey, I did make that promise and everything. I didn't make fun of The Rock. And I said I was gonna stop, and I did. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna call him out on the BS whenever he just wants to run off the mouth and everything like that. The dude wants to have his cake and eat it too. It don't work that way no more. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't work. And people are starting to see him for his fakeness and everything. Like why he made the Smashing Machine and why he's pivoting now to doing other roles, and and backing away from the action pack roles. And that's because people been complaining that he has no range and this and that, and he's always playing himself on screen. And I just don't get this man. Like I know he does have a nice side to him. Like, I know for a fact he does. You know what I'm saying? But it's just kind of like he's fake. And he only uses whatever half his DNA is when he needs it to. Like, I was surprised. I think he has, like, a brother that's, like, black, I think. Don't count me on that, because I remember reading something about that, but I ain't never heard of seeing this dude before. And you never see his black side of the family. You always see his Samoan side because they're all in wrestling. But where is this magical black side of his family and cultural representation and this and that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude is just fake. But let him be who he wants to be. But when he says BS things and piss in the face of people of color and humanity and stuff, I don't give him a pass for that. I don't care how famous he is. I don't care if I used to be a fan of his wrestling. I refuse to give this man a pass when he pisses in the face of his own culture and the culture of other people just because he's trying to kiss the behinds of tons of white people and stuff. He has his own production company. He produces stuff. He can produce like, an all black like movie or show or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? But he doesn't. He's talking about lack of representation growing up. Okay, bring some representation in the modern day. Not just because you made this animated Disney movie back in the day and you're trying to suck up to that of Samoan people. Make some stuff that cultural, you know what I'm saying? Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.